What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Real Talk NFT, where we talk all things Web3. I'm your host, Joe. You guys know my amazing co-host, Brian. Super excited today to have on Josh Bechtler-Levin, Head of UX Research at Intuition Systems. Welcome back, Josh. Welcome, Josh, first time.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Before we jump into Intuition, can you tell us about your background? Because you have extensive background in the metaverse, digital assets, NFTs. If you don't mind, we would love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. My name's Josh. I'm a core contributor at Intuition, currently focused on UX research. And before Intuition, 2017 is when I first got interested in crypto, just kind of like casual investing, small amounts of money. I worked in the healthcare industry at the time in the Bay Area. So I was always surrounded by tech, and tech and crypto were kind of my free time areas of interest. But then the 2018 bear market hit, and I got spooked and really lost interest completely. But then it wasn't until around 2020 in January when I heard about NFTs and this whole new narrative in the crypto space just completely captivated me. So I spent basically that whole year listening to podcasts, learning as much as I could on my free time, and just trying out different protocols and apps and just trying to learn because it was so fascinating. 2021, I joined Metaversal, which is a joint venture studio. So we co-produced crypto or NFT projects. So I helped launch 3 projects there across the entertainment, hospitality, and fine art verticals. And then about a year after that, I joined the Intuition team. So I had done a hackathon with Billy and the team at ETH Denver. And from there, the rest is history. I've been there ever since.
I love it. I saw that on your LinkedIn that you had some experience launching some NFT projects. I know we're here for Intuition, but I'm really curious about what projects you launched and how that went.
Yeah, so we launched, the first one was a project called Runner, and we worked with the producers of the Hunger Games to kind of create this world, this kind of whole like fantasy world where speed and racing is how you gained power. And we created this whole series of like comic books, and the comic books, if you unlock the comic book, that gets you like early access to the NFT. Took a lot of like inspiration from different projects at the time, like the way like Invisible Friends had done like their minting process, just as an example. Yeah. So that was one project. We did another one called The Little Mensch, which was this little burger shop that was the original founder of the hamburger, and they wanted to come on chain. So we worked with them to help them build their NFT project. And then a third was this project called Meta Letters, where we took the letters of the word metaversal, created NFTs out of them, and allowed artists to come in and create different versions of those letters and mint them as NFTs themselves, and kind of create like a exposure program for them. So yeah.
Nice. You must have learned a lot throughout the years launching 3 different verticals, projects in 2 different verticals. Let's dive into Intuition and how you transitioned there, and a little bit about the company.
Yeah, so I've known Billy for about 13 years now, which is wild to think back on. But he's, Billy's a crypto OG, as you probably know. He's got a very decorated background. Early days of Consensus, early days of Uport, involved in the Ethereum Foundation. He headed the EY blockchain division. And so he's always been like, that crypto friend. And once I started working in the space, I was, chatting with him one day. We're actually out like surfing down in San Diego, and he was basically explaining the concept of intuition to me out in the water. And it was like the coolest idea that I'd ever heard. I was like, this is wild. Like, this is like I've never heard anything like this before. This could change a lot of things. So we stayed in touch, and then he had ended up inviting me out to ETH Denver to work on a hackathon project. He's like, come out, meet the team. Let's just like see like if there's a way that we can get you involved. It ended up working out well. I did a week hackathon with the team, and ended up moving to Intuition, working on product, and Yeah, I guess I'll give you like a quick background around what we're doing here. Our kind of our tagline in a way is that trust, that we want to be like the trust protocol. So we operate in this space, which is kind of like identity, social, and reputation. And our North Star is basically that we believe that trust can scale. And what we mean by that is like right now, it's kind of like hard to trust people that you aren't like outside of your inner circle. Like there's only like so many people you can trust before you start to lean on technology to help you get a better understanding of who you should trust, what products you should buy, where you should spend your money. So we're creating this Ethereum-based attestation protocol where we're trying to harness the wisdom of the crowds to create this open knowledge graph and reputation graph so that people can better infer like what decisions to make, what to buy, who to trust. So it's essentially like building a new way for people to understand the world around them, to understand more about like who we are, what we've done, what we're like, and kind of curating social wisdom.
Can you give me some examples of like how you apply that technology just in the world, in like real world aspects? Like even if it's not something that you're currently doing, but like, you know, what your North Star is, or how can this be used in the real world?
Yeah, so like the way that we kind of always like taking a step back is like we always ground it in this idea of like back when we lived in tribes of 150 people or less, like we really knew everyone around us. We knew like their skills, their strengths, their weaknesses. We knew that, Joe knows how to make a fire, so I trust him to make a fire. As we've scaled and as technology has grown, we've had to supplement our own intuition and like who we trust and where we buy, like how we make purchase decisions on things like social media. Like we look to Instagram to do a quick check to see if we like want to do business with a person, or we look at Yelp to do a quick check if we want to go eat at that restaurant, or we look to Amazon real quick if we want to make a decision on like a product to buy. And that's really just because that's the way the internet has been formed and where like that's the only way that we can make these decisions. But we're trying to kind of go back to the drawing board and reimagine how data is filtered and consumed. So we want to create a platform where people can come to and check their intuition and say, okay, what do the people in my network think of this Amazon product? Or what do my people in my network think of this restaurant? What do the people in my network think of, XYZ? And then you can make decisions based off the people that you actually trust, or the second or third degree people in your network. So it's a protocol, meaning that like anyone can build on top of us, and kind of create the use case that works for them in the world. And so like there's a lot of directions it can go. It's not just like a reviews thing. It's not just like a product thing, not just like a restaurant thing, but it can go in a lot of directions.
So it's a protocol. Is it a L1? Is it L2? Can you just dive like in sheep there?
Yeah. So it'll be a L2. We'll be launching on Base. And yeah. So the way it kind of works there is like we have just like kind of off-chain data, but then we make attestations and claims about that data on-chain. And that's what like anyone can reference, and then also like stake on.
Interesting. I'm going to give you a hard test or maybe easy one. Something happened in the world recently. I'm not going to say what it is. There's a lot of false narratives around there. How does attestations, how does one do that, right, on-chain and prove that's, verifiably true?
So how do the attestations work and all right. that staking? Yeah. So what we have in the system are identities and claims. Identities are essentially like the fundamental building blocks of the intuition system, and identities don't just have to be people. Like I think generally like we think of people as having an identity, but we're kind of taking a different approach, which is that identities don't just have to be people. They can be places, they can be objects, they can be ideas, they can be protocols, they can be NFT projects. Anything can have an identity, and that identity has a unique identifier. a DID, and it's a way to just classify things and reference things. And so like you create these identifiers, and people can stake on those identifiers, basically saying that, okay, I'll ground it in an example. Say we talk about the chromie squiggle behind you. The chromie squiggle can have an identifier, and then people can stake on that identifier chromie squiggle to say, okay, that is the like canonical chromie squiggle. That is the identity for it. Because right now it's like, if you want to learn about chromie squiggle, like what is like the canonical identifier for chromie squiggle? Do you go to like the OpenSea page? Do you go to the Twitter profile? Do you go to the founder's profile? Do you go to a wiki page about chromie squiggle? Like there isn't like one place to look. We have just like all these disparate data sources that are just, learning about it is hard. So if we break it down to this atomic level of an identity, you can create attestations on that identity. So that's the identity piece. Is that tracking so far?
Yep.
Yeah, totally. I mean, from my understanding, the possibilities could absolutely be endless here. If I'm understanding this, I mean, you could take this technology across literally every industry that I could come up with. I'm just thinking of ideas off the top of my head where this would be just a huge benefit. And you just naming the chromie squiggle, for example, it's true because it's something me and Joe do a lot with our private community. We help them with NFTs. We do a lot of research for it. And it's a lot of a grind to make sure that we're getting accurate information, correct information. In this day and age, there's just all sorts of inaccurate information everywhere. What industries do you think, in your own personal opinion, what industries do you think would benefit the most from this protocol?
Yeah, so you're definitely you're right. Like this technology can stack very well, and like once you have these identities, you can combine them together to create claims about things, which is like multiple identities together to create claims, and then you can apply that to any industry. So say it's like I guess like industry less specific because it's cross industry, but like reviews is an example that I like to ground it in. If I say like Nike is my favorite brand, I could create a claim around that and say Nike was a new brand and people didn't know about it, and I made this claim that Nike is my favorite brand, and then it turns out to be like one of the biggest brands in the world, then like me creating this claim about this brand early on holds value because it's inspired or influenced other people to buy into that brand or agree with that claim. So I think like an interesting place that like we've talked a little bit about is like tastemakers and influencers and how they might be able to leverage like an intuition world, which is in the sense that like when we like a video on YouTube or when we upvote something on Reddit or when we endorse someone on LinkedIn, we do all these actions purely for the sake of, mostly like out of the kindness of our heart or just like because we want to share a belief online. But we're not really like incentivized to do those actions in the same way that we're not like incentivized to leave reviews. We kind of just do them. And in an intuition world, you could actually be earning ETH every time you do a like or an upvote, or you make a claim using an identity or all these little actions. So that's kind of like one unlock that like on-chain attestations and like the intuition system allows for.
I'd be liking every video.
That was one of my next questions is like how you would incentivize like participation within the network. So you're saying, so we could literally earn ETH by just, giving participation within this protocol in some form or fashion. Am I understanding that correctly?
Exactly. Yeah. We're trying to incentivize participation in a way that like hasn't really been done before. Because like if you look at the data, like 97% of people rely on reviews to make purchase decisions, but less than like 5% of people actually write reviews. So we're making decisions off of skewed data. We're making decisions off of people that probably have polarizing opinions. And if I go to Amazon and I see a product with 5 stars and 20,000 like likes, and I'll probably just buy that product, but not really like thinking about it any deeper than that. Same with like Google Maps or like any restaurant that you go to. Like when you leave the restaurant, it says like rate my experience, giant stars, and like I never do that. Or like Uber, I never like leave an Uber rating. I just do 5 stars because I'm like I don't care. So no one's really cracked like the incentives of like why people should contribute the data, the intuition that lives in their head, to a knowledge graph. And so the way we've structured things is that when you create an attestation, when you create an identity or you create a claim, you can deposit either the minimum amount of ETH, or you can deposit like medium or large amounts of ETH that you can determine for yourself based on how much signal you want to give to the graph about your conviction in that thing to be true or false. So what I mean by that is like intuition is a neutral platform. We don't care if people say this is good, this is bad, up this, down this, but we do care that people provide like their kind of their version of the truth. Because if you provide your version of the truth, it's likely that others will, it's not likely, but others may agree or disagree with you. And whatever it is, that helps you, because every time someone stakes ETH, every user, in addition to you, receives a % of that fee as an APY. So it's a way to earn ETH for speaking your truth and essentially like putting your money where your mouth is.
You mentioned reviews, where in the Web 2 world, there's tons of bad actors, right? They're just doing it for the free product. Like you mentioned for Amazon, we can't even trust those. The same thing for Yelp, unfortunately. How do you keep those bad actors out? Is there a solution here in Web 3?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And like, there's going to be bad actors in every industry. People that are going to try to like game the system for profits, and those people like are going to be allowed to do that. They could make false claims, or kind of what the general public perceives as a false claim, and they could stake ETH behind that. But another factor of what we're building here, well, first of all, it would be economically like not wise for them to do that, because they wouldn't receive any fees as rewards for doing that. People would essentially like their claim or their statement would kind of fall to the bottom and not really be referenced. So one, it's economically disadvantageous. The second is that reputation is another really big part of what we're building here, in the sense that like we want people to have the option to like boost their digital reputation online. And so if you stake like 1 million ETH on something that's not true or like intentionally false, your reputation is going to look pretty poor next to that. And people have access to all that data, and they can quickly say, okay, like most people say this, one person has this crazy, opinion with a ton of ETH behind it, but the reputation's terrible. Maybe I can like take that out as an outlier and, continue on with my decision-making process.
So personally, I live and die by reviews. I am like the Amazon, if it's 4.8 to 4.4, I am 99 out of 100 times going to buy that 4.8 star review, and I never leave reviews. Yeah. Which is funny that I lean on it so much, but I never leave reviews. I really do love what you're building here. This is actually extremely interesting to me, just because it feels like you're just going to get a more true sense of like actual, what am I trying to say? You're just getting a more accurate sense of what that product or whatever you are inquiring about actually is. I was on your website and I saw something about universal knowledge graph and the universal knowledge graph and how it works and what the advantages are. Can you kind of break that a little bit down for the audience and myself included?
Yeah. So the universal knowledge graph is essentially this like giant data lake that every time you create an identity or every time you create a claim, it gets stored in this knowledge graph. And kind of the way to think about it is that the way like internet and big like tech companies have structured their businesses is like get as many users as you can, store all of their data within your site, and gatekeep that data so only you can use it. So Amazon has all their user data in their data silo, same with Google, same with Instagram, and the two don't really talk to each other. They kind of create these like walled gardens. And this universal knowledge graph, this like decentralized, open, permissionless graph is kind of like the disintegration of those silos. And those data silos like have worked. It's been great for all those big internet companies. They made it a ton of money doing that. But that's not the best way that the internet could be. And it's clearly making it so that not everyone is contributing in the best way possible. And not only that, it like if you think about every time you open a new, or you like log on to a new app, you start like a new app or a new onboarding process, you have to like restart adding your friends, you have to restart with your follows, you have to redo your preferences, because that doesn't exist with like the identity of yourself. It exists with the identity of you within those systems. So this decentralized knowledge graph not only allows this kind of cross-pollination and like stackability of different knowledge points that everyone has, but it also allows it so that when your identity, like your human identity, moves through this digital time, you bring your preferences, your friends, your ideas of what is right and wrong with you across everything that you interact with, rather than having to start over every time you like start a new app.
Interesting. Okay. What has been the biggest, I would say, hurdle for someone adopting the technology? I imagine this is live already, or is it going to be live?
So not yet. We'll be launching V1 this summer. So we're getting close. And we're just in the kind of quality assurance phase right now. But we're really excited to get this thing out into people's hands and actually starting to test it with real users.
And I have a question. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry, bud.
Oh, no. I think this question pertains particularly to you, Josh. Is just being the UX design. That's kind of like the biggest hurdle, I would say, for a lot of people, crypto people. It's so hard for them to, wallets number one, right? Address is number two. It's just all these layers of difficulty. Is your target demo, are you catering your UX to Web3 native people? Or where does it look like there?
Yeah, no, that's a super good question. It's something we talk about a lot. To start, we're focusing this product for Web3 native people, people who are interested in the technology, interested in the kind of the financialization, gamification of this stuff. And then also developers is a key audience target. Just because we are building this at the protocol level, what we will be launching is basically like a demo app that lives on top of the protocol. So it will be like a way for you and I to poke around and like make identities, make claims. But we'll also be launching a robust set of developer documentation so that we give the tools to those folks to build on top of us and to build whatever interesting apps they think of. So that'll be like the initial target user type, and as we test that, as we kind of make fixes and improvements, we'll start to expand it further and further, eventually to the Web 2 arena. But we got to start small, and then build out from there.
What's your vision for the future of decentralized data systems? Do you think this is just naturally where the world's going to move?
Yeah, I think. I think an on-chain future in some capacity is inevitable, and it just makes sense with an ever more digital world that we're living in. Especially when you think about how AI will disrupt what we know to be true, and we'll have a hard time distinguishing what is fake and what is real. I think having data live on chain in so many different permutations down to the atomic level up to like large concepts and everything in between will just allow for like better trackability and of information and allow things to just feel safer. And on that note, like I think Web3 in general, like, has had a lot of problems with safety. It's kind of like plagued with that over the years. And I think this is also like a really good step towards making a safer ecosystem. Just to give an example, there is like when you're using like any wallet, like hot wallet, and you're a new user, there's a lot of ways that can go wrong, and that you could sign something that might drain your wallet, it might drain your NFTs or whatnot. And so like another application that an intuition system could help with is actually like helping you understand if a transaction that you're about to sign is legitimate or if it's a scam. And so like imagine a world where you could quickly check with like a button and see like, what does my intuition think about this wallet address or this transaction? And you could quickly check to see, 100 people in my network have also signed this transaction. Your intuition says this is safe, go ahead and sign. Like that would make the industry feel safer. And we just don't have those like checks and balances really in place yet. So I think like data on chain does feel inevitable. It feels in a lot of ways that could be like consumer good facing, but also like Web3 security and Web3 like UX.
Being in the more, I wouldn't say obscure side of the Web3 world, NFTs, RWAs, digital assets, do any of those have a fit within intuition at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think those like digital assets will always have a place in the space. It's it's just kind of like a one way to capture like community and track community. So I think for sure. I mean, like I think it's like you can make attestations saying that like you own an NFT and that NFT can be that like statement of like I own this NFT can be a claim that can live on your profile. Maybe it earns you a badge that shows that you actually are an owner of this NFT, and that NFT could live like in your gallery or in your wallet or wherever that lives, and kind of whatever app is associated with holding that NFT. So yeah, I think it's it's a piece of technology that I think has proven that had like quite a run in 2021 to like prove how it can be used, and now it's just going to be like another piece that people can leverage. How it fits with their product.
Yeah, absolutely. This it was an interesting year, I would say. Different from what you're working on, which is really practical data sets that solve real problems. We went from 2021 NFT hype to meme coin cycle this last year, right? To a lot of different narratives taking off. Do you have any insight on kind of what the end of this cycle might bring, or what the future looks like in terms of Web3 overall?
Yeah, I think all these narratives, first of all, I think they're a lot of fun. Like the NFT boom was awesome. The meme coin boom was awesome. I mean, there's just like a lot of fun. There is a lot of like, bad actors that happen across all these things too. But it's just like it's a fun space to be part of. So I think like first of all, like I love like being in an industry that moves so fast, and where like so many experiments happen that are just like interesting and cool and kind of pushing the boundaries of like what is possible. And we're kind of on this like frontier where we're like trailblazing and just testing out new things. And I think like the identity and reputation vertical, there's a lot of cool stuff being built there. And yeah, I guess like as far as where we go from here, like I think AI will continue to proliferate, and things will become harder to distinguish like from reality, like I had mentioned. So I think there's going to be a need for more on-chain ways of helping people understand what the information that they're seeing. And I think working on a project that is data driven, that is working on the atomic data level, kind of takes a really good and important stab at that problem. And so yeah, I'm excited to see like all the progress that's going to be made specifically like in that space.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts there because I'm from the Bay. Also, AI can definitely disrupt anything. I was just thinking of how can I get paid to do what I'm already doing with attestations, right? Or actually, I'm not already doing it. I'm not leaving reviews, but now I have a reason to, right? But how can AI, help with that also? Because that's if they know my personality, idealistically, I have AI agents for everything in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. It's a scary world, but yeah, we'll let you solve the issues there. I would say, at least for your L2 on how to prevent people from gaming that or doing it in an incorrect way. So very interesting. Lastly, what's the future? I know you're launching on this summer. Is there any future plans that you want to let us know about, either for yourself or for Intuition?
Yeah, I mean, we're super excited to get V1 out into the world. We've got a team of absolute rock stars, just grinding, pulling 12, 15-hour days to get this thing shipped and out the door. Just like such a passionate group of folks. It's an honor to be working with them all. And that's really the main focus: is get this thing out the door, get it into the world, get it in the hands of real users. And then really start to see like how people react to this. I guess like in the next few months, user testing will be a super important part of the progression of the product. We want to keep users front and center, and really that's kind of going to be a focus, at least for me personally, and then also how that informs product direction. And then from there, I mean, I think it'll be a big marketing push too, and like just talking about intuition, getting the concept reduced to a form where it's really like easy to understand and grok, because it is a different concept, and it's a different way of thinking and understanding the world. We've been locked into this kind of system of how we interact with the internet for decades, and this kind of signals like a big shift in how data moves through time and space. Actually, kind of reminds me of like an analogy of that our head of operations MK mentioned recently. It was just basically that when you move through the real world, your identity, everything that you like and believe in and don't like, travels with you. But in the digital world, that doesn't happen. It stops at the data silo in the app that you're in. It starts and stops there, and then it starts and stops at the next one. So we're opening the doors for a new way to navigate the digital world. So
yeah,
excited for
definitely makes sense for us in the Web3 world. We brought on Golfin, who incentivizes you with their native token for doing reviews, right? But you can't take that across all platforms. But if I could get paid in Ethereum, I might start doing a lot of work. So excited for that. And I'm probably not doing it justice, but I know there's a lot of real-world use cases for what you're building out on, and you're solving it on a worldwide scale, I would say, more so than just one silo. So super excited to see that can roll out. Where can people find you? Where can users want to test your product? If you want to be found, that is yourself, Josh, or Intuition.
Yeah. So intuition.systems is our website. Check it out. It's a beautiful website. We just redesigned it. Hopefully it resonates. Follow us on Twitter, 0xintuition. If you're interested in being a user tester, you can feel free to reach out to me. I'm just at josh@intuition.systems, and would love to get you involved. So yeah, those are probably the best ways.
Awesome. We'll make sure to put all the links down below so they can find you. And so excited to see you guys roll out this summer. Excited to test it out. And thank you, Josh, for coming on. We'd love you to have back in the future.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much, Joe and Brian. It was a pleasure.